Ladies and gentlemen of the Projectbodybuilding.com audio and visual radiance, I'm Skip. Welcome to episode 8. I'm coming to you today live from Mrs. Skip's cock room. You can't see the entire room because I don't have much of a budget, which I need to talk to my boss about. Therefore, I don't have a cameraman or even a kid to hold the camera and move it around. It's propped up on my wife's laptop right now. There's a bunch of cocks behind me. They're my wife's cocks. The whole room is actually covered with cocks. It's just an odd hobby, I guess. I don't even know where to go with that one. Anyway, figured it would be a nice change of, is it venue? Yeah, it'd be a change of venue. It's the same place. It's my house, but nonetheless a different room. A little something different to look at. So if you get bored with what I'm saying, you can just, pick a cock back here and stare at it or something. Anyway, I got a bunch of questions actually. Went a little bit longer, keeping the threads open on both Projectbodybuilding.com and IntenseMuscle.com. Got some really good questions. I think every episode I do, getting not only more and more questions, but better questions too. So I'm going to hop right in. If I seem a little short on a few of these questions, because I always go through them ahead of time so I know what I got, it's only because, a couple of the questions, they're all good questions, but a couple of the questions are... sometimes people they get bored with cardio outside of the person asking the question. So I'll be as concise as possible and I just try to rip through these as quickly as possible. First question: in an attempt to get an HRT script, what are some ways one may... I should probably reword these sometimes, no offense, but they get hard to read. I'll start over. And I'll paraphrase. In an attempt to get an HRT script, what are some ways to help manipulate natural test levels so that blood work will read low enough for it? So basically what you're saying is you don't have very low testosterone, but you want to lie and cheat the test so that it shows that it's low enough so that you can get a script for HRT. I can respect that. They're really lowering testosterone. I don't think I get that question a whole lot. I don't think I've given it a whole lot of thought. Let's go at this a different way. I would actually recommend not trying to find a way to lower testosterone as much as I would, and coach my clients sometimes, to go into the doctor to say the right things. First, and this is really, really important, don't go in to talk to your doctor and let him know or give him the impression that you have done your homework. Doctors really aren't terribly impressed with the fact that you have done your research the large majority of the time. You need to go in and act naive, borderline stupid. Okay, so what you do is you go in and you start complaining first about your marriage, or not necessarily your marriage, but your relationship, about how, your wife, she's kind of... your sex drive isn't that good, and she's been kind of complaining it's impacting your relationship negatively, and it's you. It doesn't have anything to do with your wife. So hopefully ownership there will look impressive, will impress the doctor. And you talk about your mood, that, I don't feel like I've got as much energy. Don't talk about the gym. Don't walk in a skin-tight shirt trying to show off your guns or anything like that. You need an anti-gun campaign, so to speak, when you go in. Dress down. You don't want them to think you're jacked. Because what's going to happen is most doctors, clearly they're not stupid. They get people, especially these days, quite often, who have already checked into it, heard all the good things about testosterone. They come waltzing into the doctor going, I want to put up more weight, I want to get big, and I need some testosterone. Okay, doctors aren't terribly hip to that. So what you need to do is you just need to make it sound more like it's a lifestyle issue, energy, mood. I wouldn't focus on, don't say the wrong thing. Don't be like, yeah, I've been kind of depressed, because then you're not going to end up on testosterone. You're going to end up on like fucking Prozac or something. And Prozac doesn't make you big. You want testosterone. So my best advice is just to say the right things, act kind of stupid, and engage the doctor and just be like, is there anything I can do? You could say things like, can we test my testosterone levels, because they might be kind of low. You could even slip in there like, I was watching Titanic the other day, and I just started bawling when she threw that necklace over the edge of the boat, and that would imply, or could imply, that your estrogen levels are higher than they're supposed to be, because no dude cries in Titanic. Jerry Maguire, maybe. The Notebook. But not Titanic. Fuck. That's my best advice for that one anyway. And it works a large majority of the time. Now, it may not work that particular. You might have to come back in and jump through the hoops of taking the test and kind of wait it out a few weeks, that sort of thing. They might even try to get you on something lame like, HCG or something like that. Just play along, and eventually you'll get to the TRT dosing. If the doctor doesn't give you what you want, this isn't 1950 anymore. Go shopping for another doctor. I have found that what are they called? Like Kaiser. I have really good insurance. HMO. God, I'm terrible. I have really good insurance thanks to my awesome wife and her awesome job. So I pretty much I'm wide open to see the doctors that I want to. But some people aren't. They're kind of locked in with the HMO and everything else. Kaiser is a good example, because Kaiser is very, very, very popular. But you go and you try to get HRT from those doctors, and they're loosening up a little bit. But even just as recently as 2 or 3 years ago, it was a bitch to even get a Kaiser doctor to listen to you about low testosterone and that sort of thing. So a lot of it is doctor by doctor. So if you don't get the answer you want from one doctor, I am serious when I say just find another one. When I say it's not 1950 anymore, in 1950s, 60s, you just would have the same doctor that your parents had or you had when you were little, and then you would take your kids to that doctor, and it would be generational, and that is just not the case anymore. Thank God. Next question, stacking macros together or eating protein plus fats, protein plus carbs. Okay, protein meals only. Is there a reason for that? Or would you eat meals with all 3 macros, better fat utilization, absorption of micronutrients, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the separating the macros apart. The deeper you get into a diet, especially a prep contest diet, I tend to start to separate them, not on purpose, but as the calories get cut and the calories get lower and lower. So a lot of my clients may end up, myself included, when I diet. I may start out with a certain level of protein and carbs and fat, and then from there I may start to cut away carbs first, leaving a little bit more fat. But I certainly have no issues, and I don't think it matters at all or makes a difference. You're not going to get more ripped separating the two. And it's when I say separating the two, essentially separating carbs and fats. That's really the only question or issue that anybody has, is whether to put those two together. To dig into that a little bit further, a lot of people say that, or think, and I think it's a misconception, it's not true, that when you put fats and carbs together, that the process of burning body fat isn't as efficient. You're not going to get as lean, especially endomorphs, and I just don't buy that. I've worked with too many people. I'm a classic endo anyway. I certainly have a little bit of meso, and I have ecto shoulders. Notice I just dropped them back down because I was hunching them up like this, which makes me look even more narrow. But anyway, I'm more endo than anything else. So basically, endos are fatties. They tend to you got to really know what you're doing, and your nutrition has to be that much more precise to get shredded. Usually those are the guys that end up, even when they're in really, really good shape, really good condition for a show, they still don't have that super, super, super thin, non-existent skin. It takes a lot to get to that type of conditioning for an endo. But nonetheless, I don't think that there's any difference. No, I don't. Fat is actually very important at controlling blood sugar levels, fat and fiber. So when you do take fat away from a carbohydrate meal, that carbohydrate, first, blood sugar levels are usually not going to be sustained as long because the carbohydrate and the macronutrients are hitting the bloodstream so much quicker. So fat and fiber tend to slow that down. So I do think it's a common. Look, anytime you can keep them all together, that's the best scenario. That should pretty much wrap up my thoughts right there. Next question. Yes, that's exactly why I asked that. I want to hear Skip's experience. So basically, this isn't a question. This is feeding off of the question I just asked. You know, when they bring up Chris Tuttle, I don't know who Chris Tuttle is, but apparently he's got a logical answer that I'm not aware of. I don't know whether my ideas on the topic are in line with what he thinks. Don't really care. Don't know the guy. So, I mean, I have no idea if he, is super bright and experienced and knows his shit. But I know I'm right. Pretty much covers that. No. So, I mean, no disrespect to Chris. I don't know who the guy is. I've heard some prep coaches say that guys who are more endomorphic, yeah, that's another statement based off of the other question, and I don't buy that either. So, next question. Should soldiers fighting be allowed to take steroids, beta blockers, or other performance enhancement chems? Why not? The answer to that is actually quite simple. American soldiers should be able to take whatever they want, and I don't give a shit what the soldiers for other countries around the world take. So that should pretty much wrap it up. The more people the American soldiers kill, the better off America will be. That's pretty much how we've got to American dominance anyway, is basically just leaving a trail of dead bodies. We're just apparently better at it than other countries. I should answer that. Next question on PED. The PED show that I host with Taylor and Scott every other week on Projectbodybuilding.com. Okay. Could you please break down how much is really needed for MT2, melanotan 2? As I mentioned, most people take too much. I did, and I don't think I did get into dosing, which means that I wasn't very thorough with my information, so I apologize for that. So I'm glad this question was asked. Also, basic use protocol. Sure. I'll tell you what is recommended on the boards by most people, a large majority, and on the large majority boards, and then my recommendation. What is usually recommended is, I've heard up to like a milligram a day for loading, which if you haven't used it, well, if you have used it, it'll make you feel like shit. It makes you very nauseous within 5 or 10 minutes. Some people actually throw up. My wife threw up a couple times because it's just a very, very strong high dose. And then they recommend after doing that for, say, a week or so, that you cut back to like a 0.5 milligram every other day, every day, something like that. You're going to get dark pretty quick. Large majority of people, 9 out of 10. You do still have to tan with it. One of the big misconceptions about melanotan 2 is that you don't have to do any tanning at all. You don't have to do any tanning at all only if you are French Polynesian or something really dark like that with beautiful caramel skin. I digress.